Welcome everyone to the Tahirah show. Today is a special show. This is something that I've been wanting to happen since last year, and I'm like so grateful to have SupaNova in the building with us on the show. And today we are getting our wellness in. We're going to talk about the book of the remedy, the mega greens, how his work is really transforming the world with their wellness and how we live and eat. So SupaNova, thank you and welcome for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Your welcome is a pleasure and a privilege to be able to have your work presented to the world, which is already happening. So thank you for taking your time out and being here.
Give thanks, give thanks.
And I want to just know what inspired you to pursue wellness and spread that around the world?
My mother, Queen of Four, the author of Heal Thyself and Health and Longevity, is a well-renowned nutritionist and healer. So I grew up in that environment since I was born. I was raised in a vegan environment. My parents divorced at a very young age for me, so I was dealing with a lot of emotional reactions from that period. So I kind of ventured off from the wellness lifestyle, you know, just to process how I was going through my own separation with my parents. And of course I got sick because I tried to eat like everybody else. I tried to do everything everybody else was doing. And so that was like, I had my own personal testimony on it. One of the things that really had me humble to the wellness lifestyle was my addiction to the sugar, the processed white sugar.
What kind of sugars?
Well, junk, just candy, a lot of junk food. But I was very heavily addicted to it, and had my mother every morning would give me, my brother, my sister some spirulina and wheatgrass every morning with some fresh fruit juice, fresh squeezed fruit juice, and every morning and evening before we went to bed. And I know that had a profound effect on my bloodstream because it's a superfood and helps to restore oxygen. So all of the junk food I was eating throughout the day, you know, in the evening, it would kind of like get me back into balance and so forward. So it got to the point where I was eating so much junk food that, you know, I had a really serious situation with the dentist and my skin breaking out. And it was just really I got tired of being sick and tired. And I said, you know what, I got to apply what my mother was talking about, you know. So I started getting more into the greens.
Wow. You
know, and understanding what the balance, how the greens restore what the sugar takes away. Well, the processed white sugar is one molecule away from crack cocaine in its biochemical structure.
Wow.
So it cuts off the oxygen from the brain, it deteriorates the bloodstream, and suppresses the immune system. So the greens, the chlorophyll foods in all of its aspects, the barley, the wheatgrass, the alfalfa, the spirulina, and others, they help to restore and replenish everything that the sugar takes away. So one day I took a gallon of water, distilled water. I put everything that's in my mega green formula that's in the book, the spirulina, the chlorella, the alfalfa, the wheatgrass, the dandelion, and even a little bit of the ginger, which helps with circulation of the blood. Put about a half a teaspoon of that, shook it up, and I drank on it. And I realized my cravings were dissipated by the evening. I didn't have the same cravings I had, so I did it every single day until I pretty much had a control over my appetite and everything else. My skin restored to its luminance, and my energy was excited. Everything was restored because of the greens. So that pretty much, from that point, I just took it upon myself to maintain the chlorophyll lifestyle, which I call the chlorophyllene, you know, same lifestyle, what you're talking in the book. So that's a long version, but that's pretty much how I came into my personal testimony with it. And others saw me doing that and say, man, you know, I got similar addictions to maybe fried foods or, you know, eating late at night or, you know, even the sugar too. So what can I do? And I would share my personal testimony. They'll try it and they say, hey man, that worked for me. So that's pretty much how that developed into years of doing that until we're here right now.
I got that. You know, I would have never ever thought that you would have been like the sugar kind of junk food person. So I'm like, wow, I would have never known that you experienced that.
Well, I mean, because you know, because of my mother and the environment I grew in, the perception is, you know, you haven't had any things in your life to relate to other people, because they just see it from one perspective. You know, my father was addicted to crack cocaine for some years. So my life, like I talk about in the book, you know, the weekends I go into the projects to see him, and dealing with the gangs and the hustlers and the pimps and all that type of environment, the street environment. During the week, I'm with the, you know, the Sufis and the martial artists, the black nationalists, doing that during the 5 days of the week, and holistic vegans and so forth. So my life was very much extreme. You know, I have a song on my album called The Remedy called Chlorophyll and Crack.
Yes, that's one of my favorite tracks.
You know, this talks about my father, you know, actually is the manifestation of what the sugar crack would do to the immune system. My mother's actually the chlorophyll. You know what I mean? So the balancing between those type of hemispheres in my life, and sharing my story about that with people that didn't know, it gives them even more motivation to say, wow, you know, you went through that. You know, despite coming up how you came up, you went through that. And, you know, prodigal son coming home, returning to your state of balance. So that's what that is.
You know, I could really appreciate that story, because there's moments when I will go into like a fast food store, and I won't say any names, but I would purchase food, and I would be thinking like, I wonder if SupaNova see me in the store, what would he think? So it's like, to hear it, I could really appreciate you going through that experience of eating like the junk food and being addicted to like the sugar crack, as you call it, and to work your way back on this path. Do you ever have moments where you kind of like go off and eat some things that you normally don't eat in your diet? Do you have moments like that?
Not with the food, but in the book, you know, the main focus on the book is a body, mind, and spirit transformation. Okay, and what I teach is that, you know, before you even put the food in your mouth, you have to prepare your mind. Your mind has to be ready to allow you to embark on your journey for your wellness. It's the biggest thing you can do is take the responsibility of this body, of this church, of this mosque, of this shrine, of the temple called your physical body. So the challenge is not dietary, it's the mental food, you know, that a lot of us deal with, that I deal with sometimes, you know, the back and forth, trying to balance what's going on up here, and making sure I have the proper nourishment with my thoughts. You know, because a lot of times if your thoughts are not managed properly, then the food becomes a reflection of the mismanaged thoughts. And the foods and the mismanaged thoughts track these type of relationships. So you got fried food relationships in your life, fried food partners, and you know, fast food mates, and you know, sugar crack you know, lovers. You know, so these are the type of things, and you can change your diet, but if you don't change your consciousness, you're going to still have those people around you pulling you back into the gravity of that toxicity. So when you make a transformation in your life, it's 360 degrees. You know, it's emotional, mental, physical, and the greens and the food is an offering, I would say, to that process, a nourishing offering. But this has to be strong, and your will and desire for your wellness has to be strong, and they work in tandem. So that's I deal with that a lot more, and I find unique ways to strengthen that. So the food doesn't get off. You know, I train, I'm a vegan bodybuilder. I train, I do that often. That helps to keep me in my center, besides doing the music, the other creative aspect. But I say that's a really good, for me, good mind manager.
Got it. So a vegan bodybuilder is like someone who's just a vegan and they just
well, it's a little deeper than that. It's the same principles of gaining massive weight that professional bodybuilders take on for their life and development. A vegan does. A vegan would do the same other things without steroids, flesh and its derivatives like the whey, or you know, the casein and the dairy products and so forth like that. Fish, chicken, you know, none of that. You pretty much follow a holistic regimen, and understand the discipline between eating the proper carbs, the proper proteins, and the vegetables in tandem with your workout regimen. And for those that are trying, for brothers out there that are trying to be holistic but not necessarily compromise the muscle mass and don't want to look like, you know, skinny crackheads, healthy crackheads.
So that's what everybody say. They think you're vegetarian, you have like no muscles.
Right. Well, I'm 200 pounds. I'm 200 pounds of muscle.
Right.
Okay. Majority of my life, I weighed 124. Wow. So I had that Prince Bruce Lee look, you know, for many years. And after my daughter, I had my first child. The responsibility of being a first-time father and what that came with, I started to train, you know, just to try to figure out what I was going through internally. So I started to, you know, train and study about bodybuilding and building mass. And then from that point, I applied everything that's in the remedy from the consciousness of a bodybuilder with my holistic regimen, and I gained, you know, 75 pounds of muscle, of healthy muscle. So there's ways you could do it without even sisters who want to lose weight but not compromise their shape and their figure. They'll do it healthy, you know what I'm saying? So there are ways that you can do it. You have to be disciplined and ready to go through the process. And then remedy, we talk about those principles.
And that's something I love this book. Like when my first time reading the book, I felt I was in like science class. Like it took me back to like, man, those days I slept in class, I was able to pick it up here. Like, what kind of research did you do, like, to get the information that's in here? Because this is like high-level science that you're teaching in this book. Right.
Well, I have, well, because of my mother, Queen Afua, I'm surrounded with a lot of wellness scholars and people that are really into the field of wellness and health and fitness. So just, you know, Dr. Sheridan, Bernadette Sheridan, she contributes into the book with the opening. And, you know, she was a consultant, my mother, Queen Afua, you know, almost 40 years of wellness training, and many different elders in the community that are just disciplined in terms of the science. During the 5-week program, we even have a week-by-week exercise program that people can just do in their house, even if you ain't in the gym, even if you're not trying to really lift weights, just certain movements. The body's made to move. So I consulted with a military trainer, you know, and what do they do standardly when they're not in the gym? There's different movements anyone can take in this country just to begin the process of reconnecting with the body and appreciating movement as you're putting nourishment in your body, just doing certain things. So, you know, we have an exercise regimen in there for those that really want to, you know, get nice and ready for the spring and summer.
Awesome.
You know, and, you know, just it's pretty much that's how all that came about, you know.
All right, cool. And in regards to like the ingredients for the mega greens, like how did you come to choose those ingredients?
Well, like I was telling in my personal transformation story, my mother exposed me to, you know, all the different greens throughout my life, the chlorella, the spirulina, which are from the sea, the algae, and the perry grasses, which is the barley, the alfalfa, the wheatgrass, and the like. And, you know, me knowing the protein properties in them and the amino acid makeup in them, and what it did for me in terms of how I was able to constantly feed my body the proper protein, build up, cleanse, but also build, you know. I'm using my personal testimony as an example, and also my mother taking many brothers and sisters through various cleanses throughout the year, and just kind of seeing the give and takes, the pluses and the minuses of things, you know. And for our generation, we need something that's going to be like direct, basic, something they could just put in some water and keep moving. If they ain't got time to go to a juice bar or do a juicer, what could I do to keep moving? It's going to allow me to burn, you know, unwanted fat, but also build my body. And that's the distinction from this program more than the other programs out there, especially the Master Cleanse. The Master Cleanse is cool, but the thing about the Master Cleanse is if you take 7 to 14 days on the Master Cleanse, after that 7-14 days of not having protein synthesis and amino acids in your body, your body's going to be dehydrated. It's going to be not dehydrated, but it's going to be very much malnourished, because the human body daily needs some implementation of protein and amino acids to sustain its healthy state. That's why people yo-yo all the time. It's because they, you know, they go on these cleanses. It's always, you know, it's the woodchuck cleanse, and it's the 5, 8, 9 vision cleanse, and it's the cameraman cleanse. There's all these cleanses, but the bottom line is, what is it really doing? So the remedy cleanse is actually flushing the toxins, but also as it's flushing, it's rebuilding in the body. So you're not going to go into the yo-yo binge that a lot of people get into, because your body is being fed through the chlorophyll foods. You know, your body's being fed the proper nutrients to sustain itself. So